Shalom and welcome to this week's edition of the Rashi Nash. I'm Pastor Matt.
And I'm Kara.
This week our Torah portion is in the book of Leviticus. We are in Parashat Tsav, and we're going to talk about what is known as the Olah offering, or the whole burnt offering. Now, as we mention this word Olah, you can hear that it is related to the word Aliyah, which means to go up. And that is because the Olah offering, or the whole burnt offering, everything goes up in flames, everything goes up in smoke on the altar. So here's what it says in chapter 6, verse 1. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "Command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the Olah offering. It is the Olah offering that stays on the flame, on the Mizbeach, on the altar, all night until the morning, and the fire of the Mizbeach shall be kept aflame on it." Now, it's interesting what Rashi says here. Let me just read to you this comment about the Kohanim and how they give up money and livelihood in order to serve in the tabernacle and later in the temple. So it says here, the Kohanim suffer financial loss because they are not paid for the sacrificial service. In order to perform it, they must give up their regular means of earning a livelihood. Even the hides that they receive from the Olah offerings are insufficient to make up for this loss of income. So what this means is, although they don't eat the meat from the Olah offering, it all gets burnt up, they get to retain the hide of the animal. They get to use that. The Torah makes this point in the context of the Olah offering rather than the other offerings, because the loss of income in this case is especially great. With other animal offerings, the Kohanim receive both meat and hides, but with the Olah offering, they receive only hides. So there's two things that I want to bring up today in our context, especially for us as a ministry family. Point number one is this. I don't know anyone, unless I feel like it's suspicious, I don't know anyone that goes into ministry for the money. At least nobody that we know.
I wouldn't think so.
No. And obviously you see shady characters from time to time that, ask for a lot of money or a lot of possessions, or prosperity gospel people or something like that. We're not like that in this ministry. We don't even believe that's biblical. We believe that you're supposed to prosper and God wants to prosper you and all that, but not on the backs of your parishioners. That's just not the way that things are done. And here, the example that we have from the Kohanim, from the priests and Levites, is the priests especially, that they don't make as much provision for themselves and their families as they could if they were doing some other job. And I think there's something to that. I think I like the idea, and I have always been a bivocational pastor. We're recording here at our studio, and I, for the past over 20 years, have made a side income by being a recording engineer and producer. I don't mind it if a pastor has another job, or if they sell books, or if they have a side income or something like that, another income stream. I think that's fine, but I don't think we should be looking for financial gain from our congregations. I think that, of course, the congregation needs to support the leader financially. I think that's biblical. But I don't think that anyone should be looking to acquire wealth from ministry. I think there's a sacrifice involved. I think there's humility involved. And we certainly see this here. So I like it that it says that they are incurring a greater financial loss with the Olah offering, which has to be, it's got to be on the altar all night. It's a continual burnt thing. I like it that all of that goes up in smoke, goes up in flame, because that's the second point that I like to bring up, and that is that all of us probably need to look at ourselves as this Olah offering, that we're offering ourselves up to God and we don't get any personal benefit from it except that He blesses us. That we don't serve God for what we can get out of it. That's a mistake. We don't want to serve God, even though we are promised that these things will be provided for us, things like our food, our clothing, our shelter, but we don't want to serve God because of some sort of financial benefit that we could get from it. I think I like the idea of the Olah offering going totally up. It's almost like, I don't want to use the word waste, but it's almost like it's an abandon. it all goes up to God. Nobody is deriving personal benefit from this meat that is burned up. How do you feel that in our lives can be exemplified of giving, especially us in ministry, giving all of ourselves to the Lord, even if people aren't in ministry, all of ourselves up to the Lord and not keeping back some for ourselves, of just being more like we have almost like a holy abandon that we need to just say, God, I completely count on you. I'm giving it all over to you in full faith. Kind of the opposite of Ananias and Sapphira, where they were giving to God, but they kept some back for themselves. Do you think there's something to that of giving everything over to God and just having the faith that He's going to take care of us?
Absolutely. And I think that's probably why I feel like when you have to depend so much on God's provision, it keeps you keeps you aware of that you are dependent on Him and that you're constantly seeking Him and trusting in Him and growing your faith, knowing that He has to be the one to provide. I almost feel like people in leadership, it's almost, you can almost get complacent. If you do make too much money or have too much, not saying make too much money, that's not what I mean, but if you rely too much on the finances coming from other ways, sometimes you can get complacent on really needing God to provide, so if I can do it myself, you know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes it's nice knowing that you're having to consistently put your faith and trust that God is going to provide, because you have sacrificed, you have given up your, livelihood to this calling that you could be doing something else maybe, but your time and attention has been, given to serving, and so therefore you have to, adjust and just depend on Him.
There's been a couple of times that you've been to the country of Haiti on mission trips. Do you think you have seen in people that are very poor as far as this world's goods and money, do you think you've seen a greater dependence on God because you have to depend on God because you don't know where your next meal's coming from?
Yeah, their faith is so much richer.
Do you think that our financial riches maybe makes us with the possibility of being more spiritually poor?
Often, I do believe that's the case, yeah. Because it's not sometimes if you are so destitute, or you're just in a specific part, of your life or whatever. It is not just a, once a week I'm going to think about, God and work. You know what I mean? It's a not only daily, but sometimes hourly. It's where's my next meal going to come from? I'm just going to trust, and of course God is going to come through, and so your faith just is that much more built when you have to depend and rely.
I think that's well said. You made me think of, there's a very old song that we sing in the church called "I Need Thee Every Hour." That's I think that idea of depending on God, if we're not careful, we can get into a situation like in the New Testament, the parable that is told about a man who has these storage barns for all his grain. He's a very wealthy man. And he says, I'm going to tear down these and build bigger ones. But then God says to him, you're a fool, because tonight your life will be required of you. We're not promised tomorrow. And what are we going to do with all these possessions? You can't take them with you. And I think I like how you put that. I think sometimes if we're not careful, complacency can creep in, and dependence on self. We can become so self-sufficient that we become self-reliant and we forget God. And I think that's why in the Jewish way of doing things, there's that Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals, where God says, after you eat and are satisfied, then you bless the name of the Lord, because it's really easy to depend on God when you're hungry, and it's very easy to forget God once you've been filled. This is very poignant, and I think this is going to be a blessing to people all over the world. So thanks for being with me again. This is awesome. This has been a wonderful adventure for us, this Torah cycle. So thank you for your continued sharing of this broadcast, and thank you for all your encouraging comments. We do pray that this is a blessing to you every week, and in honor of this, I say that you and I should look at ourselves as that Olah offering, as the whole burnt offering, giving everything over in sort of holy, reckless abandon and saying, Lord, it's all for you. I keep nothing back. I give it all up to you, all going up in fire and smoke on the altar. Take all of me. That, I think, is a wonderful prayer for us this week. Thank you for joining us once again here on the Rashi Nash. Shalom and Kol Tuv.